More than 2,500 years ago in ancient North India, in what is now Nepal, a figure emerged who challenged all conventional definitions of power, wealth, and happiness. This person was Siddhartha Gautama, who would later be known worldwide as the Buddha. His story is not merely a religious legend, but a profound psychological paradigm illustrating the journey of healing and liberation from the invisible shackles of life. Within the gilded walls of the Shakya kingdom, the young prince was born with a dual destiny. His father, King Suddhodana, desired a powerful successor, while the sages predicted the child would become either a great, universal monarch or a world-renouncing awakened one. Siddhartha's birth was miraculous, heralded by the image of a six-tusked white elephant, signaling an extraordinary event. Even the sage Asita wept upon seeing the infant, knowing he would not live long enough to witness the moment of liberation that Siddhartha himself would achieve. Those tears were not of sorrow, but a deep acknowledgement of his own limitations and boundless hope for a truth that was about to be revealed. Terrified that destiny would snatch away his only son, the king decided to construct a perfect enclosed world for Siddhartha. 3 lavish palaces were built for the 3 seasons, where every sense was immersed in youthful pleasure, beauty, and absolute satiety. Siddhartha grew up amidst silks and perfumes, married the virtuous princess Yasodara, and had a son named Rahula. His dwelling was a resplendent golden cage where suffering was merely a word in books, never a tangible reality. Material wealth served as a velvet curtain obscuring the true face of life, its purpose being to create a perfect illusion of happiness, an illusion that, deep within our subconscious, we still seek and try to cling to in modern life. Yet, no cage, even one made of gold, can imprison a soul yearning for freedom and truth. A soul as profound and sensitive as Siddhartha's could not be content forever with this glamorous facade. Although his father tried to clear the road so he would only see beauty, the destiny of truth still found a way to infiltrate. He embarked on a brief journey outside the palace walls, a fateful trip that changed everything. One by one, Siddhartha saw the 4 sights that shook the entire foundation of his beliefs: a trembling, frail old man, a sick person groaning in pain, a decomposing corpse, and finally an ascetic monk with a radiant, tranquil face. This was the greatest psychological moment of the awakening. It was not an external discovery, but an unflinching acceptance of the essential nature of suffering, dukkha, in life. No amount of wealth or great power could purchase a single moment of escape from sickness, old age, and death. Witnessing this stark truth, Siddhartha felt pain, not because he was about to die, but because his loved ones would inevitably endure it. He realized that the joys within the palace were merely soap bubbles that burst the moment they touched harsh reality. Suffering was not just physical agony, but a deep-seated dissatisfaction, the impermanence, anicca, of everything we attach ourselves to. The final sight, the ascetic, opened the door of hope for him. This person, despite his poverty, possessed an indomitable spirit, his face radiating confidence and peace. This demonstrated that there was another kind of wealth that could not be stolen by sickness or time, the richness of the spirit and the detachment from material things. Prince Siddhartha realized his destiny was not to rule a finite kingdom, but to find a path out of suffering for all humanity. In the quiet of the night, Siddhartha performed one of the most powerful symbolic and spiritual acts in human history, the Great Renunciation. He secretly left his palace, his virtuous wife, and his sleeping infant son. He cut off his precious long hair, symbolizing royal pride, and exchanged his silken robes for a simple coarse cloth garment. This act was not just the abandonment of material possessions, but a radical stripping away of every identity, every role, and every expectation the world had placed upon him. If the palace was the anchor holding him back, this departure was the severance of that anchor, allowing the ship of his soul to sail out onto the endless ocean of seeking. Siddhartha's journey to find the truth began. He sought out the greatest meditation masters of the time, such as Kalama and Udaka Ramapuda. He learned techniques to reach the realm of nothingness, where the mind could detach from physical consciousness and perceive only the infinite. These lessons were valuable, but Siddhartha still felt they were not the ultimate answer to end suffering. They were merely doors leading to other rooms, not the exit itself. Siddhartha then joined a group of ascetics and began a 6-year period of severe self-mortification. He practiced an almost absolute diet to completely control his body and senses. He became emaciated, reduced to skin and bones. This image serves as a reminder that we often tend to swing from one extreme to the other, from indulgence to self-punishment, believing that the more the body is tormented, the more the spirit is purified. However, this extreme weakening damaged Siddhartha's mind. He realized that the body was not the enemy but the vehicle for achieving his mission. If the vehicle was destroyed, the goal could not be reached. The moment he accepted the bowl of milk rice from the village girl Sujata was the moment he recognized the middle way. The middle way is not self-indulgence but balance. It is like tuning the strings of a vina lute. If the string is too loose, it makes no sound, indulgence. If it is too tight, it snaps, asceticism. Only the perfect tension creates the perfect sound, balance. Scorned by his former ascetic companions, who believed he had abandoned his integrity, Siddhartha was alone but resolute. He walked to a great fig tree, later known as the Bodhi tree, tree of awakening. He swore he would sit beneath it and not rise until he achieved complete enlightenment. This was the final and greatest battle, fought not with the external world, but within his own spirit. Mara, the demon king and embodiment of desire, illusion, and doubt, appeared. Mara used every weapon to tempt Siddhartha, from images of beautiful women, lust, to scenes of violent warfare, fear, and finally, a challenge regarding power and validation. Mara asked Siddhartha, "Who can bear witness to your power of enlightenment?" Siddhartha's answer was an act of profound strength. He touched his hand to the earth. The ground itself was the witness. This earth witness gesture was the act of calling upon the body, the present, and reality itself to attest to his truth. It meant that enlightenment was not an abstract, heavenly concept, but had to be rooted in the complete and firm acceptance of the reality upon which we stand. Liberation, anchored to the solid foundation of truth, could not be shaken by any illusion or temptation. On that full moon night, Siddhartha Gautama transcended ignorance and suffering. He recalled countless past lives, understood the laws of rebirth and karma, and finally fully comprehended the Four Noble Truths. When the sun rose, Siddhartha had become the Buddha, the awakened one. After attaining nirvana, a state of complete liberation from suffering, the Buddha chose to remain in the world to share his knowledge rather than enter complete nirvana, an act of immeasurable compassion. His former ascetic companions were initially skeptical but were quickly subdued by the peace and compassionate energy radiating from him. The core teaching of the Buddha is the Four Noble Truths, a psychological and ethical map to end suffering. First is dukkha, the truth of suffering. Life is fundamentally unsatisfying and painful. No matter how wealthy or successful we become, dissatisfaction and impermanence always lurk. Second is samudaya, the truth of the origin of suffering. The root of suffering is craving, desire, or clinging. We suffer not because we lack things, but because we crave what we don't have or fear losing what we hold. This craving stems from ignorance, a misunderstanding of the impermanent nature of reality. Third is nirodha, the truth of the cessation of suffering. Suffering can be ended through nirvana. Nirvana is not a heaven, but a state of mind completely free from craving, hatred, and ignorance. It is absolute freedom. Fourth is magga, the truth of the path to the cessation of suffering. This is the Noble Eightfold Path, comprising 8 steps: right understanding, right thought, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. The Eightfold Path acts like a fine-tuned compass, guiding us through the jungle of life, avoiding the pitfalls of extremism and delusion. The Buddha spent the next 45 years sharing these teachings, spreading the light of enlightenment. He did not ask anyone to worship him as a god, but only wanted them to see the latent potential for awakening within themselves, much like a jeweler pointing out the gem already present in our souls. When he was 80, the Buddha knew it was time to leave this world. He lay down between two flowering sala trees, began deep meditation, and entered his final nirvana, parinirvana. His departure was not a death, but the complete fulfillment of a journey of seeking and sharing. The cremation and the distribution of his relics throughout the world symbolized the sowing of seeds of wisdom and compassion, allowing them to sprout in the minds of all who yearn for truth. The story of Siddhartha Gautama teaches us a profound and healing lesson. Genuine happiness cannot be found in material accumulation or the avoidance of suffering. Happiness lies in the ability to face the truth of impermanence and to release attachment to what we cannot control. The Buddha's journey is an affirmation that each of us can overcome our own inner demon Mara and find nirvana right here in this life. Enlightenment is not a mystical destination, but a state of awakening where all things are seen clearly as they truly are. If you feel lost or trapped between temptations and fears, remember the image of Prince Siddhartha abandoning his golden cage, choosing the middle way, and sitting resolutely beneath the Bodhi tree. Touch your hand to the earth, feel the present truth, and trust in your own capacity for self-healing and awakening. For the Buddha is not merely a historical figure. He is a mirror reflecting the infinite potential of every human soul seeking eternal peace.